All right, welcome back. This is session 5 of Jonah, the preaching of Jonah. We're gonna go a little deeper into Nineveh and Nahum. The book of Nahum is also written to the Ninevites, to Nineveh. And as we covered in the first session, Nineveh is a veiled reference to America. Remember the where she says in her heart, we covered from Zephaniah, I am and none else besides me, and we cross-referenced all that. If you haven't listened to the first 4 sessions, you probably want to. Well, if Nineveh is a veiled reference to America, then Ninevites is a reference to Americans. And in Luke 11:30 it says, "For as Jonah was a sign unto the Ninevites, so shall the Son of Man be to this generation." And it goes on. Well, uh, so Jonah is a sign to the Americans, is what it's saying here. This is a veiled reference to Jonah is a sign unto the Americans. And the reason is pretty plain from the first 4 sessions we went through, but boy, it gets much clearer in Nahum. But in Luke here, if you take this context of this whole section, where it starts up in 11:27 and 28, where a woman says, "Blessed is the womb that bare thee, and the paps which thou hast sucked." But he said, "Yea, rather, blessed are they that hear the word of God and keep it." Well, we see that this is a reference to Catholicism, Mary worship, right? That's what they do. Blessed is the womb, blessed are you, Mary, and blah. They pray to the dead, which is a violation of one of the commandments. You're not supposed to communicate with the dead, necromancy and all that. And, doing the rosary and all that. It's a violation. And it's one of the lying vanities. Remember Jonah's message? They that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy. Well, this is one of the lying vanities. It's a big one. This is a very big one. And going on, if you continue down, now these all float together, and they're written this way intentionally. He writes this so that those that don't have eyes to see don't see it, because it's not given unto them to understand the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. But he says to the disciples, "But unto you it is given." Well, then skip down now to 11:33 of Luke. After that Jonah passage we just read, Jonah is a sign unto the Ninevites. Well, he says, "No man lights a candle and puts it in a secret place under a bushel, and the light of the body is the eye. Wherefore, if your eye be single, and the whole body is full of light, if your eye is evil, and you're full of darkness." I always wondered, what is he talking about before? And then 35, "Take heed therefore that the light which is in thee be not darkness." What's he saying there? Take heed that your religious practices are not darkness. This is referencing the preceding message of Mary worship. Blessed are the wombs that were. And also, this is talking about all of your other practices. Communion. You guys are keeping the Sabbath and doing communion, or Seder meals that are opposite to Passover, that you do on the night of the 14th, and you kill a lamb, and that's where you have bread and wine, and you make the covenant, the new covenant. That's different than Seder meals and cutting a lamb, shank roast, and doing Jewish stuff. That's opposite. Jews don't keep the law either. And communion at your Christian church, we covered this the first time. But this is so important because Luke is referencing the same thing, and this is all telling the same message as Jonah in 2:8, where he said, "They that observe lying vanities forsake their own mercy." And Matthew 6:23 goes on even more and says, if the light be darkness that is in you, how great is that darkness? If you're doing Passover on some other day, 15 days off, and then you're encouraging other people to do it, how great is that darkness that you're leading people astray? You really got to check your fire and see, am I doing what the Bible really says? Or if you don't do it and other people watch you, are you not, by your example, encouraging them to not keep Passover? Or if you do fertility goddess day, Easter with bunnies and rabbits and eggs, or if you do Lent instead of unleavened bread, all of these are darkness. These are darkness. And the strange thing is that from our upbringing and our religion, we think they're light. We think that it's light, that it's good. And he says you cannot serve 2 masters, God and mammon, and many guys have trouble with that. They cannot, their covetousness gets the best of them, and they take advantage. I've had Sabbath keepers and all these kind of guys take advantage. I mean terrible, charging you double for stuff. I wouldn't want to leave any money on the table, they'll say. which is code lingo for I want to take as much advantage of you as possible. And then I've had amazing guys that are not religious at all, and I have a couple $100 hung out in my hand for something for them, and they go, no, no, it's okay. They know that you're in a position where you're struggling or you're in a tight spot. No, it's okay. I thought, man, my family and religious people would snatch that out of your hand in a second. I mean, in a second. And religious friends, they wouldn't want to leave that money on the table. No, we've been taught to take advantage. Well, going back, Nahum 1:1, let's pick it up there. The burden of Nineveh, that's the burden of America. We covered this before. The book of the vision of Nahum the Elkoshite. God is jealous, Yahuwah revenges, and is furious. Yahuwah will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserves wrath for his enemies. This is the wrath coming for these people. Yahuwah is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. Yahuwah has his way in the whirlwind and the storms. Sounds like nukes to me. And clouds of dust in his feet. Now, back in Zephaniah, you remember, he'll make Nineveh a desolation, dry like a wilderness. And he goes on to talk about where she says in verse Zephaniah 2:15 or Zephaniah 2:15, this is the rejoicing city that dwelt carelessly, a.k.a. USA, that said in her heart, I am, and there is none else besides me. How has she become a desolation, and everyone that passed by her shall hiss and wag his head. This is that haughty American religious attitude. Whew. And it's the opposite of what you see in Isaiah 45:21 that says, who has declared this from ancient times? Who has told it from the time? Have not I, Yahuwah, and there is no God besides me. A just God and Savior, there is none besides me. See how it's opposite? Yeah, Americans set up in their heart, and Brits and whatnot, these House of Israel, Ephraim, I'm God. Yeah, they put themselves in the place of God, and they decide, I'm going to decide what to do, and because I'm, yeah, that's the opposite of what we're seeing here. It's Yahuwah that's saying, I am God, and there is no God besides me. I am, and no God. So this haughty American Jezebel Babylonian attitude, boy. Yeah, you think they're going to do this kind of marriage like Jacob did? Not these American women, and not most of these American men. Do you think they're going to do this, the commandments, and keep these holy days and kill a lamb in their backyard? They make every excuse why not to. Go read Exodus 12. That'll tell you plainly. They killed it in the backyard, just like the Son of Man did with his disciples, Peter and John. Where were you that we kill the Passover at evening, not like the Jews the next day? Boy. Nahum 2:2, and Yahuwah has turned away the excellency of Jacob and the excellency of Israel for empty use, have marred their vine branches. This is so plain that this is written about the excellency of Jacob at this latter time. If this doesn't convince you, Nahum 2:2, there it is right in front of your eyeballs. When he's talking about Nineveh, he's talking about Jacob, Israel, the house of Israel, the vine branch. Read Ephraim USA and Manasseh, Great Britain. Yep, let my name be named on them, says back there in Genesis. That's what this is talking about. Deuteronomy 32:43, rejoice, O you nation people, he will avenge the blood of his servants and render vengeance to his adversaries and be merciful unto his land. See, just like it says there, we have made of ourselves an adversary of our God. That's what it says back in Nahum 1:2. He will take vengeance on his adversaries. You're an adversary. If you're not keeping all these commands, you are an adversary of Yahuwah. You're encouraging people to do Baal worship, the Lord. Oh, man. We'll cover that more in the next session. But how has the faithful city become a harlot and was full of judgment, righteousness lodged in it, but now murderers? Yeah, 70 million abortions. We're bombing people around the world. People still love paying their taxes and think it's just fine. That 1/3 go to the military. Silver's become dross mixed with water. Princes are rebellious companions that they love gifts, follow after rewards. This is Isaiah 1:23. Therefore, says Yahuwah, I will ease me of mine adversaries. I will avenge me of mine enemies. His own people have become his adversaries and his enemies. We've legalized all the great abominations, the last one being the greatest here. Whew. Yeah, we cover that in the Daniel 8. Go listen to those. Just 2 of them. Very plain. Nahum 1:3 going on. Yahuwah is slow to anger and great in power, and will not acquit the wicked. Boy. The whirlwind and the storm and the dust of his feet rebukes the sea. And the mountains quake at him and melt and is burned in the presence of the world and all that dwell therein. This is what's coming. Boy, this is what's coming. And going on in Nahum 1:6, who can stand before his indignation, and who can abide the fierceness of his? This is the great indignation. That's what Nahum's describing here. And listen to these ones. His fury, as it goes on here, his fierceness of his anger, his fury is poured out like fire. The rocks are thrown down by him. This is the nukes that are coming in on you very soon. And this is described in Isaiah 10:20. It shall come to pass in that day, the remnant of Israel, such as escaped to the house of Jacob, shall no more stay upon him that smote them, but they shall stay upon Yahuwah, their Holy One. Yeah, you'll get away from that Baal god and fertility goddess and all the rest of that trash, the ones that make it. 10:25, for yet a very little while, and the indignation shall cease, and my anger in their destruction. He has a great indignation. For you people that are sitting there and just enjoying America and thinking it's great, taking advantage of your fellow, and I don't want to leave any money on the table. Or you can't figure out that your kind of marriage is the cause of 70 million abortions, AIDS, herpes, VD, syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, all the rest of the stuff. You can't figure all that out? Man. Jeremiah 10:10, Yahuwah is the true God. He is the living God, an everlasting King, and the wrath of the earth shall tremble at his wrath, and the nation shall not be able to abide his indignation. This is all talking about the same thing, the great indignation. Lamentations is all about this. The whole book of Lamentations. 2:6 here. He has taken away the tabernacle as if it were a garden. Yeah. And in the place of the assembly, Yahuwah hath caused the feasts to cease. The Sabbaths have been forgotten in Zion. He has despised the indignation. In the indignation of his anger, the king and the priest. He has despised the king and priests over here. Those priests and preachers and that. Oh, they're in indignation. Religion over here. They're not keeping the commands. Just ask him, do you keep Passover? It's a death penalty offense if you don't. Therefore have I poured out my indignation upon them. I have consumed them with the fire of my wrath. Their own ways have I recompensed upon their heads, says Yahuwah Almighty. Ezekiel 22:31. Isaiah 30:30. Yahuwah shall cause the glorious voice to be heard, and he shall show the lighting down of his arms and the indignation of his anger. A flame of devouring fire. Can you see a pattern here in Daniel 8? This is one we covered just in the Daniel series. Behold, I will make these, talking to Daniel, to know what shall be in the last end of the indignation. He's indignant. We've legalized all these abominations, and most people are just going on like, well, we just keep going. It's not that big a deal. Nahum 1:7, Yahuwah is good and strong in the day of trouble, and knows them that trust in him. With an overwhelming flood, shall make an utter end of the place. This flood is in Daniel 9:26. Yeah, see that there? Therefore shall it be with a flood, and the end of the war desolations. Yeah, there's a flood coming up upon our borders as they torch off a nuke in the sea or something. The sea has come up upon Babylon, Jeremiah 51:42. She's covered with a multitude of waves. Back to Nahum 1:9. What do you imagine against Yahuwah? He will make an utter end. Affliction shall not rise up a second time. This is what's coming. Amos 8:14. They that swear by the sin of Samaria and say, Thy God, O Dan, liveth, the manner of Beersheba, they shall even fall and shall never rise again. This isn't going to be something small. This is going to be nuclear bombs where he's destroying. This is the great judgment. People think you're going to die and go to the great judgment. No, this is it. This is where you get burned up in a lake of fire as the fireballs go off. Amos 9:10. All the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. And this is the attitude of that haughty I am and none else besides me, Jezebel, evil American. They, all the sinners of my people, he's out to destroy all these sinners. He's out to destroy them. Yeah, he calls them drunkards down here. In Nahum 10, it's like they're drunk. The crown pride, the drunkards of Ephraim. Cross-reference, Isaiah 28:3. There is none that should come out and imagine evil against Yahuwah, the wicked counselor, and it goes on, the bounds asunder, you give a commandment concerning thee. I will make thy grave, for thou art vile. We'll pick it up there next time in session 2. Hallelujah.